and welcome to the episode of Get Booked. Today, what are we talking about?
We are talking, of course, more about our Black Voices Matter book bingo and our romance book bingo.
Cool. So we are highlighting a square from each today.
Yes.
What is our square for Black Voices?
Slice of life.
All right.
So, like, the normal things about life that's not... That sounds weird. How do you explain that?
I was looking slice of life. Like, you could take it in a couple of different directions. Like, I think, interpret it a little bit differently. It's like realistic fiction. Like, this is just a day in the life of these characters, or like, and you know, sometimes it can be like a really heavy situation, or sometimes it can be a lighter situation.
That's where I come in. I'm the lighter of the readers.
But I'm the heavy.
And you read more heavy.
Well, would you like to go first?
Sure. So, funny story. Last week, Mary picked 3 books and I picked 2 books. So this week I thought we were picking 3 books and Mary picked 2 and I picked 3. So, fun times. It happens.
We'll see what we do next week.
We'll each pick 4. I'm just kidding.
Oh god, no, please.
Alright, so my first book is Once Ghosted, Twice Shy. It's Alyssa Cole. It's part of her Reluctant Royal series. This is a novella, so shorter, which is great. It also, so slice of life, it is also an LGBTQ+, so it checks off that square as well. So it's about a, I think she's a personal assistant, and she was dating this woman, and they broke up, obviously, and Fabiola was completely ghosted. And nope, Fabiola did the ghosting.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's the bad person in this one.
I read this a little while ago, and like the characters, I'm messing them up in my head.
It's okay. I also read it like 2 years ago, so I'm like trying to kind of remember it. And I've read a lot of romance books, so they're all bleeding together.
They do bleed together. So they're not usually in the same city, but. Okay. Alright, you gotta say it one more time. I'm terrible at name pronunciations.
Lugosi?
Yes. Lugosi.
It's fine, you got it, go.
So she's back in New York City for her boss. Her boss is a prince. They meet in the subway. Their eyes, find each other's, and they're like, oh crap. That's the girl. Anyways, they end up talking over coffee, tea, and there is, of course, a little bit of romance. But, you know, what might happen next?
That's so awkward.
It is awkward.
It's like when you're in college and you go to a party and your ex is there and you're like, oh, hi, dang, okay.
That's when I turn around and leave.
Oh, I stay, and then it just gets worse. But that's okay. So my first book is Real Life by, is it Brandon Taylor? Because the new tape is still on it. Yes, Brandon Taylor. So this book is about a college student, and his name is Wallace, and he's going to like a Midwestern university, and he kind of keeps everybody at arm's length, and like even with his friend groups, they're all like, you know, it's college friends, like they're dating each other, and like girls, and like some of them are trying to hide that like, oh, I'm totally straight, and they're not, and I believe Wallace is LGBT, and so it's just kind of like Wallace's life, but then it kind of comes to a head because he ends up getting into a confrontation with another like white student. So it's just like a very good like college slice of life book that'll make you think a little. So yes, nice. What else do you have?
I have The Boyfriend Project, which is one of my favorite books I read last year. It was so good, so Samaya is on a date, and she's live tweeting on a date, and she realizes that she's not the only one who's going out with her said boyfriend.
Yikes.
There are 2 other girls who are also his girlfriend, and they kind of end up crashing the date because they've read the tweets, and they realize, oh, this is not good. Obviously, the boy is dumped with all of them. They're all done with him. But the 3 ladies find themselves, I think they eat dinner together. They have a friendship that grows. It's really sweet. And the friends have to the Friends books are next, which is great. But Samaya is like, oh, I'm done with men. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. She's also dreaming about creating this app. Things are a little bit hectic at work. She meets this new guy at work. So there's an office romance. It was really great, and I'm so excited for book 2, which is coming later this year.
Okay. That reminds me of a YA book that's kind of similar, but not exactly. Oh gosh, what's it called? It's like Ask Me Out, Bryson Keller, or something similar like that.
Date Me, Bryson Keller, which was also one of my favorite books from last year.
Yeah. Do we have that book?
Of course we do.
Okay, yeah, where it's like Bryson Keller says he'll go out with, like, it's a dare to go out with anybody, and like this other kid who is also a boy is like, go out with me, and then like he does, and it's like sparks fly, maybe or maybe not, because Bryson Keller is supposedly straight, but is he? Anyway, so my next book is called The Care and Feeding of Ravenously Hungry Girls by Anissa Gray. So this is kind of an interesting family type book. So in this family, there are 4 sisters. Sure. The Butler family. There's 3 sisters: Althea, Viola, and Lillian. And something happens with the oldest sister, and who's kind of like the really stern matriarch. Like, you know how siblings can be, too. Like, the oldest ones will boss you, and the younger 2 are kind of like, whatever. And they also, their family's in very high standing in the community, and then something happens where they kind of fall, and it's all around Althea, and it's very mysterious. And so the sisters are kind of just left with the fallout and taking care of Althea's teen kids. And so this is definitely, like, more of, like, a family-type story, as opposed to my collegiate story. All right. What is your last book?
Alright, my last book is Blitzed by Alexa Martin, and I've talked about this series before, but this one is my favorite of the series so far. And I want to say, it's either book 3 or book 4, but Bryn owns a bar called Her, which has become very popular with the wives of the football team in Denver. So the Denver pro football team. And the wives have one of those, like, Real Wives shows, like the Real Housewives kind of shows. And they meet in her bar often. And so she becomes really good friends with a lot of them. And there's a football player who is easy on the eyes, and she's like, They have a really rocky start. But then they have some really great friendship moments. They watch TV together. It's just very sweet. This was, again, one of my favorites.
I think they're all your favorite.
It could be.
It's like, not a Venn diagram, it's just a circle.
Fair.
Cool, so let's move on to our romance square. What are we looking at today?
So these lovely books also work in our romance squares. See what I did there?
Jen's making you think with strategy.
Yeah.
For filling out your bingos.
We're talking about YA romances today. Woohoo! This is also my bread and butter. Surprise!
It is. Okay. Do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
I'll go first because I have more.
You do. Please go first.
Alright, this is also a sports book. Football. Yay! What happens when a girl quarterback has a new boy quarterback that moves to town and challenges her spot on the varsity football team?
Ruh-roh. I feel like that could be enemies to lovers too.
It's really good. It's the start of a series set in, I forget where it's set, but there's like several
Oklahoma.
books. No, I don't know.
Texas.
It's it's set in the same town, so there's a lot of Easter eggs in the other books, which is really fun. This is Miranda Kenneally's, and it's her first book in the series. I think it's her debut novel too. Really good.
Nice. So my book is a little bit more quirkier. It's called Veronica Comics by Jennifer Dugan. It's a take on Romeo and Juliet, but does not have a disastrous end. So these 2 kids who are both bisexual, I believe, one of them's pan, but isn't completely sure if they're pan or not. They're still figuring it out, because this is a YA book, so we're always looking at our identity. They meet at Comic-Con prom, and they hit it off, and it's just like, oh, I really like them. Oh, I like them too. You know, they have like the googly eyes for each other. But then it turns out that I think it's Ridley. Yeah, Ridley's parents, they own the biggest comic book store franchise like ever, right? So he's like, oh crap, because the other kid whose name is Jubilee. Oh gosh, I wonder if she was named after the X-Men character. That's hilarious. Jubilee. Her mom's run the indie comic store, so there's like a big like war, so you can see where like, you know, the Montes and the Capulets of like comicdom are happening in this book, and so it's kind of like, can they like go against their parents and like find true love with each other and like, you know, all the midst of comics and geekery. So definitely a me book.
That is fun. Which I'm gonna switch books here because I have Tweet Cute, which is kind of similar.
Yeah.
So there's a Twitter war. These two characters, Jack and Pepper, are, I think they're seniors in high school. They're definitely seniors. They're both on the swim team. They have, their parents each have different restaurants. So Pepper's parents have like this burger joint, and it's gone national, and Jack's parents have like a bakery. And they kind of have a Twitter war. They don't really know who they're talking to, so they kind of fall a little bit for each other on Twitter, and then they realize who they are in real life, and then everything blows up, and it's terrible and amazing and really cute. And if you like grilled cheese, there's some grilled cheese and cake in this book. It's gonna make you hungry.
Is there grilled cheesecake?
No.
I bet you could do that. I could figure it out. It would be savory. It would be amazing.
No.
Okay, so my last book is one of my favorite new books. Also, I might have been a beta reader for it. It's
explain what that is.
Oh, thank you. Beta readers are when the author will give you like the first chapter of the book and they ask for feedback. So I was able to do this because I follow the author Ravenously on Twitter, and I was like, oh, I did that, so I was lucky. I was very excited because I'm a huge Ravenously fan. So this book is The Love Curse of Melody McIntyre. Hey Jen, do you like rom-coms? Okay.
That's your question.
This is such a great YA rom-com. I love it so much. I want Netflix to make an adaptation of it. So it takes place, so the whole theory is, Melody McIntyre is the youngest stage manager in their high school, and they are trying to pull off the spring musical, which is Les Mis. And everybody's really excited about it, and like, you know, they all have like these hopes and dreams, and they're trying to build a revolving stage, and it's just like, what could go wrong? Well, a lot. And on top of that, the theater kids, particularly the tech crew, believe the theater is cursed because back in the day, the theater that was originally in town burned to the ground when they were doing Macbeth. So like, you're not allowed to say the Scottish play's name. Right, you can't say good luck, you can't give anybody flowers before the show, you can't whistle, there's all these rules of things you cannot do, and then counter curses you have to do, and they're all, part of what makes this book so charming is it reads like a play. So like, there's prologue, act 1, scene 1, days till opening night, and then with all that, you also get the stage manager's Google Drive docs about like, okay, so here's the curse this time, and here's our counter curses, and you get like the rehearsal schedules, and so it's threaded all through the book, so you kind of feel like you're right there with the kids trying to put this show on, despite all these catastrophes. But the tech crew think that the curse is actually Mel. Mel's love life is the curse because she always has a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and they're like, what if you just didn't date someone? Like, just don't, you can't date, no kissing, no falling in love, no hookups, like nothing. You cannot do anything. We think that will break the curse. But what if Mel starts falling for one of the actors, who's like one of the leads, who also happens to be like this Hollywood starlet, that also goes to their school. It comes back for the spring musical every year. And, you know, what if? What if? So you can see where this is going. It's a train wreck in so many places, and it's awesome because it has that rom-comness, right? Like, there's meet cutes and like things that just go wrong. It's great. I love it. I love it so much, and I want people to read it. So there.
Cool.
I talked way too long. I'm sorry. I'm just very excited about this book. I want everyone to love it.
All right. So my last book is When Dimple Met Rishi, and so this is the front cover. This is the back cover, and as you can see, that's their meet cute moment.
It's real good.
So Rishi and Dimple meet at this college. They're both there for a summer semester, and Rishi's parents have told him all about Dimple and how the parents want the two teens to marry, basically. They're kind of like matchmaking the kids up. And Dimple has no idea that this has happened. And she's really excited about her tech program, and she wants to do all this app work, and her parents are really not that excited about it, but they let her go, and she's just like, whatever, I'm going to show you, this is going to be awesome. So Rishi comes up, talks to Dimple, and Dimple was like, what? Throws a drink in his face, and that's their meet cute moment. So where does it go from there? It's really good.
Yeah, it also has like a lot of great tensions between like, okay, so you're a first generation American, and the tensions that you get pulled between like your family, but also your goals and dreams that are kind of interwoven in it, and like it's also really funny.
It is really funny. And there are 3 other books in this friend group, so if you like this one, you've got a lot more to read.
Mm-hmm. It's super good. And I also love the cover.
Yes.
So that has been our edition of Get Book for this week. Who knows what we'll talk about next week? Probably something on a bingo square. If I had to guess.
See you next week.